Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you guys are enjoying the really nice weather. I'm sure you guys heard the really sad news that VBS has been canceled this year. I hope you guys understand of why they did. It was a really tough decision that the church had to make, but your guys' health definitely comes first. And with everything going on, it's to the best interest that they cancel it. And you have to think, with having to stay 6 feet apart, I mean, VBS couldn't be as fun as it usually is, and we always like to try to have it as most fun and safe as possible. So, hopefully by next year we'll be able to have another one. So, before we get started, I want to show you guys a really kind of scary experience that happened to me earlier this week. Turned out to not be so scary, but can't really explain it, but check this out.
All right, Justin, what are we checking out?
So, as you can see in the background, I'm here at the church. I was dropping off donations that someone gave, and I hear some music coming from the express room. I'm kind of nervous because, it's supposed to be nobody here with everything going on. So I'm kind of scared to see what's going on in the express room. I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but they're listening to some This Is Amazing Grace music. Kind of scared. Going. Wonder who it could be. Should I go? Should I go back? Should I let somebody else? It's gonna be. Oh man. Here we go. Entering the room. Here we go. Hey guys, look who it is. It's Crouton. We haven't seen him in a little while. Looks like he's been over here jamming, taking advantage of no one being at the church, probably kicking back and relaxing. I was just playing a little bit of basketball here in the next restroom with Crouton, and he got a little carried away. Went for a dunk and got a little stuck. So you can definitely tell Crouton's probably been here for quite a while, because I tried playing him some carpet ball, and he beat me. He's over there acting all big, thinking he's something, beat me. He's probably over here been practicing for quite a few weeks. Beat me in basketball, beat me in carpet ball. He's been busy. I just wanted to say thanks to my good friend Larry for donating a bunch of snacks and drinks to our youth program. Because if he wouldn't have, I wouldn't have stopped by, and I wouldn't have connected with my good friend Crouton. It's been, what do you say, Crouton? A good year plus since we've seen each other last. Yep, so thanks to him for donating. I really appreciate it. And I'm so happy to be reunited with my buddy Crouton.
Dude, it's awesome. Thanks for Larry for helping us find Crouton. I wanted to say thank you especially to Alyssa also for taking good care of Crouton. It's my buddy. But hope you guys are doing great. Today we are going to be talking about Joseph. Remember Joseph? We talked about him a little bit last week. His brothers sold him off into slavery, but we're going to talk about something cool. We're going to talk about what happened next. So hold on just a second while I get this this cat ironed out. I'm not sure what's going on here. Hey guys, how's it going? We're back. Got rid of the cat. Now I'm just chilling here with a forklift. So yeah. But anyway, we'll get back to that in a minute. So we were talking about Joseph, and Joseph's already gone through some crazy stuff. He was kind of issue with his dreams, and they made his brothers jealous. They sold him into this caravan, and he was a slave, and then he ended up, so what happens is he ends up going and working for this dude named Potiphar, and he ends up being a rock star. Everything he touches is successful. Everything he does works for this dude. So he puts him in charge of everything, which is kind of cool, except for Joseph ends up getting into some trouble with the Potiphar's household and his wife, and it's a big mess. Somebody lies about him, and there's a whole big giant mess of, and he ends up getting a bunch of trouble for something he didn't do, and then gets thrown into prison. Now, let's think about that for a minute. How many of you guys would enjoy going to prison for something you didn't do? Not me. But so the next thing that happens is we fast forward a little bit. He's in there for a while. Actually, he's in there for a total of 3 years, but I think it was 3 years, but I'll have to double check that. But he's in there for a while, and he meets this baker, and this baker tells him about this dream. And then he also meets this cupbearer, and this cupbearer tells him about this dream, and he interprets these two dreams for these guys, and one of these guys ends up getting restored back to the king's right-hand man, back into his service, and then when he's there, about 2 years later, he completely forgets about Joseph and leaves Joseph in prison. Then, a couple years later, the king has this dream, and the king's like, anybody who can tell me what's going on with this dream? Anybody got any ideas? You know what? Finally, the guy's like, oh, I know exactly the guy. He's in prison. Let me get in touch with him. All right, so then after he gets in touch with, the king calls for Joseph, and he's like, I want to meet this guy. So he tells him the dream, and it's, there's like these 7 fat cows, and then these 7 skinny cows. And then these 7 skinny cows just eat these 7 fat cows, just like whoop, gobbles them up. So, and then there's some other stuff that happens. But anyway, make a long story short, Joseph is like, oh, by the way, we're going to go through 7 great years here in Egypt, but then we're going to go through 7 years where there's going to be a famine. There's not going to be able to be enough food for anybody. People are going to starve. So he's like, we need to prepare. So what do you think the king did after he heard that?
First off, that's a pretty crazy dream. If I had a dream like that when I first woke up, I'd be freaking out a little bit. Like, why did I have a dream like that? But after his dream was interpreted for him, and he found out about the good years and the bad years to follow, he did as you probably would expect. During the good years, he wanted extra food to be harvested so that they'd be a little more set for the years of famine. But also what he did is he made Joseph the head of Egypt. He let him like rule over the whole land of Egypt. You know, Egypt's not a really small place, so that's a huge honor considering, when Joseph was a lot younger, he got, sold by his brother. So that's, a huge step up for Joseph. So the good years, during the 7 good years, they harvested extra, and then the years of famine came. And they had quite a bit of extra, and people were trying to get a lot more grain. But then something crazy happened. Joseph's brothers came to Egypt. What happened after that, Ron?
All right, so Joseph's brothers came because there was no food in Canaan. So they needed some grub for the whole family. So they came and they saw Joseph, and they had no idea who he was because it had been so long, he had grown up. But he recognized them right away. So then there was some stuff that happened. He ended up kind of coming up with a plan, and he sent them back and kept one of the brothers through this whole ordeal with a cup, and was asking about his father. And then what really worked out kind of cool is like he wasn't angry with his brothers for the things that he had done to him. So it was kind of neat. When everything is going down, Joseph sends his brothers back to their father without their baby brother. And they said, hey, you know what, I need to know that he's going to come back. So then they bring him, they come back to get him, and they end up making it right. He goes into a room with them, and he kind of gets choked up, which is kind of cool. He missed them so much that he got choked up. And then he has to excuse himself from the room with his brothers. He ends up coming back into the room and letting all of them know who he is. And they're all crying and they're hugging. That seems to be happening a lot lately with brothers in some of these stories. But it's kind of cool. Then they end up bringing the entire family to Egypt, including his father. And while they're in Egypt, they're able to be taken care of. Joseph ends up giving them, getting permission for them to live in a place called Goshen for a long period of time. And they end up actually living there until Joseph dies. And at the end of Exodus, actually, the end of Genesis. Exodus is coming up next. But the end of Genesis, actually, Joseph dies, and he tells his brothers, make sure you guys take my bones back to Canaan when it is, to the land that we've been promised, that was promised to Abraham. So we're going to see what happens coming up next, but I always thought it was kind of neat. One of the things I wanted to think about with this whole thing was how there was so much forgiveness. Joseph could have easily been like, all right, you know what? You guys wronged me. You guys literally threw me into a pit and then were going to kill me, and then decided to sell me because that way at least you guys got something out of it. But he wasn't like that. He missed his brothers. He knew that they were stupid kids and just kind of doing stuff that they shouldn't have been doing, and he forgave them. And even when they were adults, they were so terrified that he would hurt them, that it was always something that kind of stuck in the back of their mind. But he wasn't going to. He forgave them, and he wanted to help take care of his family. And God used Joseph in Egypt as a slave to end up saving the entire family, which actually ended up being the family that Jesus came out of. So it was pretty cool how the whole story went down, if you ask me. So, Justin, what do you think about everything?
I just think it's amazing how he was able to forgive his brothers for that terrible thing that they did. And I know for me that's a big eye-opener, because something as terrible as selling your brother away from the family because they just want nothing to do with them. They even, thought about trying to kill him too. We talked about that last week. But he was able to forgive them for that. And I think that we should really look at that as, hey, if a friend breaks one of our favorite toys, or, accidentally scratches one of our video games, or accidentally breaks one of our controllers, we should be able to forgive them, because that's something minor compared to, the crazy thing that happened to Joseph. So again, just really look into your hearts, hey, if Joseph can forgive his brothers for that, I should be able to forgive a good friend of mine that broke something. And I know it's something that sometimes I struggle with, because I can get angry pretty easy sometimes. I'm not afraid to admit that. But, you got to really find it to forgive, because is it something that you want the friendship to be done forever? Because if you don't forgive, sometimes it means that the friendship could be over. And you got to look also at the other side. You never know, they could feel really bad for what they did too, and they could just be eating themselves up. I just really wish that my friend would apologize. So I think sometimes we got to look at the other side too. But that's pretty much all we have. Before we end, I'd like to end with a word of prayer. Dear God, first of all, again, I just like to pray for everyone affected by everything going on in the world right now. I just pray that, even though we're stuck at home and we can't do everything that we want to, hang out with our friends all the time, that we still keep a good heart, and we still keep a good relationship with you. Because I know it's easy to get angry, easy to get upset, and then it's also easier for us to be angry, where it might be harder for us to forgive if someone does something angry, because we're just extra angry because we can't just live normal lives. But I pray that you help us keep a good heart, where it's easy for us to forgive, because it's why hold a grudge, And again, I just pray that you help us keep a good heart, and that we really look at the future of, hey, if I don't forgive, what will happen to the friendship, and is it worth losing this friendship over? In your name we pray, amen. Again, hope to see you guys soon. I hope you enjoyed our video, and hope to see you guys at the Zoom meeting. Ron, you got anything else?
Nothing for me to add. We're flat out of time, homie.